Hello everyone, my name is Hilde and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm here with a project diary, which is unsurprisingly a knitting project, but it is not a capelet. So there is that. It is an animal hat from this book. Animal Hats by Vanessa Moonsea. I cannot speak as usual. But yeah, it is this book. It's kind of hard to find, but they do still have it on Book Depository, which is where I got my copy. I've also seen it on the Dutch Amazon and the UK Amazon, but it was cheapest on Book Depository. Can I speak today? Nope. But yeah, the hat I am knitting is this guy. If people are interested in a flip through of this book, leave a comment down below and it can be arranged. But yeah, I have wanted a lion hat for a very long time. So I decided when I saw this as a project on Ma's Knitting's Instagram, I will link her down below. You should also absolutely check out her blog because it is so helpful if you knit. I saw it on her Instagram and I thought, well, this one is so cute. I would wear that. And so I asked, where did you get the pattern? And she said, oh, it's from this book. And I just basically ordered the book. And then when the book came, I ordered the yarn and I ordered this guy, because it's a number 12 yarn they use in the book. This is Fil Express. Well, Fil Express. It is in the color saffron, which is saffron basically. It is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. I will say I prefer 100% acrylic yarn, but finding a number 12, well, European number 12 yarn is hard enough as is, especially when you want a nice yellow one. And this is actually not prickly at all because 100% wool will give me a rash and an itch and ugh, yo, I am digressing. But yeah, I like this. I like Fil yarn in general. It is not cheap. I will say that. It was over €6 for a skein. It has... How many does it have on it? I'm trying to find the yardage. It is 60 meters or 66 yards. And it is a 200 gram skein or 7.05 ounces? OZ? Is that ounces? I'm on metric. I don't know. But yeah. Also... apparently, a European number 12 needles is a US 17. So there you go. But yeah, I like this yarn. I probably bought way too much of it. I will say, and now I'm going to talk about the pattern a little bit. This is way easier to follow than the knitting magic patterns. I find that it's explained very, you know, you have to read it a couple of times, but then it will click and then you think, oh, this is actually super logical. So yeah, I didn't have too many issues. It also explains how to knit a lining or make a fleece lining if you want to line it. I know from experience that Fil yarn is super warm, so I'm not about to boil my head. That it shows the front, back, and side of your hat again with thread and pom-poms. So far, I have knitted the ear flaps in the adult size, just flaps, and they are on improvised stitch holders because I do not have stitch holders of like actual stitch holders, but what I do have is I think this is a number 3. It doesn't actually say what it is, so I am absolutely guessing. But I'm thinking this is a number 3 bamboo needle. These blue bits are point protectors, but also basically they keep your knitting from falling off, which is great. Yeah, this is a loop stitch, which I had to learn. And you start out from a garter stitch, I will say that. So yeah, I will link the video I used to learn the loop stitch down below, because it was a really good one, even though it took me a while to actually get the loop stitch, so to speak. But yeah, if you don't already know how to loop stitch, check the description. And it takes a while to get the hang out of it, but it takes a while to get the hang out of every new stitch, so that's not new. Yeah, next step is to put it all together. And I am using these guys to knit the project. And these are, well, European 12 or US 17 Prym ergonomic needles, which I got at Veritas, which is a Belgian, I would say, haberdashery / fashion store, because I do have garments and sleepwear and accessories and whatnot as well. But you know, the yarn shop in my town was unexpectedly closed without any reason, and I didn't expect to find a needle this thick at Veritas, but they had it. And I also bought the regular ones, which are just like regular standard needles, but they also have this point. And you see these weird points. I'm kind of inclined to call them teardrop points, which they're probably not, but all the Prym ergonomic needles have this kind of point. But let me just grab a number 4 pair so you can see how they differ. Ignore the project that is hanging off it. See, this is on a smaller pair, so it's not quite as distinguishable, as noticeable as you can see on these big ones. But yeah, and that is actually so practical, knitting a loop stitch or just knitting full stop in a yarn this fat. So because this is a thick boy yarn, you know. Yeah, but the advantage is that the project goes really quickly, so there is that. I will probably not knit the nose. I may knit the nose in some brown yarn, because I have loads and loads and loads of chocolate brown Bravo yarn. So I might either knit a triangle out of that, or I will just use some scrap corduroy fabric, which would also absolutely work. Yeah, I don't know which one yet. I kind of want to give it a brown nose. I'm also tempted to sew on little loops in a thinner fabric yarn, in some like scrap number 4 yarn, because I have a lot of scrap yarn from various projects. So that would be good. And also, like, Luna Lovegood's lion hat has many different shades of brown in the mains. So I think that adding some loops in a thinner, a thinner loop, because you can just sew them in, because as you can see, it's not that tight in the back, which is supposed to be it's supposed to happen with a loop stitch anyway. So it'll be easy to sew in some acrylic yarn. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet, but I might. I might just keep the hat as you can see it like this. If it ends up looking like this, I hope so. So far, so good at least. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do with the finishing yet. My neighbor has kindly, thank you, Jessie, offered to give me some of her buttons, because apparently she has loads. So I'm totally going to take advantage of that very kind offer and get 2 brown and 2 black buttons there and make the eyes like in the book. I will say Moss has used actual like stuffed animal eyes for hers, and I will link the one that she made down below. And those are super cute as well. But I'm going to stay with the buttons because I like the handmade buttony effect. And yeah, not sure what I'm going to do for the nose yet and the finishings. I will keep you updated and we'll see where it goes. Calamities and disasters. Well, as you can see, it was nearly finished and then I made a mistake and I have to start over, which is not a giant disaster as giant a disaster as it would seem, because the adult size was way too big anyway. Like literally, legit, like 4 or 5 sizes too big. So I'm going to start over and make the children's size, which will not be way too big, hopefully. But yeah, kind of sad about it because I wanted to finish it and just make it a display piece, but that's not happening. At least I can recuperate the yarn. That's an advantage with knitting, I guess. Also, I discovered that you only have to put one ear flap on a stitch holder, and I have bought stitch holders, so I can do that now. But yeah, tough luck. Apologies for the slightly messy table, but here is the lion hat, nearly ready for final assembly. It's a bit lopsided. If anybody's wondering where I got this head from, it's from Amazon, the Dutch one, if I'm not mistaken. My husband got it for me. I knitted the nose in brown yarn because I do not have any black. Then the ears are at this point stuck with little wonder clips because I'm going to sew them on. As you can see, this is where you pull it through and this is kind of bare, so I will probably sew in some extra loops myself just to cover this up. And also, I don't believe that this is warm because you can see the hole in it. I think that my knitting gauge is a little bit too loose. Either that or the hat is just really big, because this is a children's one. And this head is just slightly bigger than my head size. But yeah, this is definitely made to put in a lining, which I will not do because I want it to fit over my face shield, which it totally will. But yeah, probably adding in some extra loops where they are a bit sparse. I will probably do that here too, if they don't, because they're attached to, because I've used the loops to preliminary attach the ears with wonder clips so I can sew them on easily. But yeah, this is just where I want the button eyes to go. This is not the actual eyes. But yeah, nearly done. This is actually the 3rd attempt at lion hat I made. Oh god. But yeah, it looks like this one will actually succeed. And as you can see, it is finished. My neighbor kindly gave me 2 buttons for the eyes. It is more symmetrical than it looks on the head, I assure you. I made pom-poms out of some leftover Bravo acrylic yarn, and as you can see, I am neither good at making pom-poms because they are not symmetrical whatsoever. As twisted cords, I am absolutely rubbish at those two, but I like it anyway. It gives me that kind of homemade quality. Yeah, these are the sides, the same as yesterday. Yes, I've propped it up on a box. And as you can see, I have made more loops to fill in the sparse spots. So yeah, that's that. This is the finished hat, and my final thoughts. It is quite big on me. I don't terribly mind because Luna Lovegood is also enormous. So there's that. And it will comfortably fit over a face mask, so that's also good. Will I wear this outside in winter? Yes, I will, because I have no shame. I do have Kiwi. Hi Kiwi, say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. She's just more interested in being on my lap and headbutting my needles. I ended up knitting them on straight needles because these were very, very practical and the project fit on them quite well because it's 41 stitches, which is not that many. But the problem was, whereas I love the number 4 circulars from this series, I was not too keen on the number 12 ones after a while because the cable got bent and it literally went like this in one spot. And also, it was very hard to slide the yarn off the cable onto the actual needle part, which is about yay long, I would say. And the back of the needle part was actually also quite sharp, just around the point where the wire was attached. So it was just not comfortable. Let me sit back a bit so you can see the hat a little bit better. It was not comfortable to work with them. So I was very glad I had also bought these guys. As you could see from before, I am absolutely lousy when it comes to making pom-pom. Even though I was using one of these guys. This is a Clover pom-pom maker. Without a pom-pom maker, I am absolutely lost and I can not be trusted to make pom-poms with cardboard. I am rubbish at it. Basically how it works, for those unfamiliar with them, is you open them up, you wrap one half full of yarn, close it up, wrap the other half, close it up, put the string in between, pull it real tight, separate both halves, and you have a pom-pom, basically. And then you kind of have to cut them in shape and hope they are symmetrical, and if you're not me, it will probably go a lot better. And I'm going to take this off because it is summer and it is super hot. But yeah, I attached the buttons with some leftover embroidery floss. I keep all my leftovers because you never know when you need it. And it's good for attaching buttons and doing a teeny tiny pop of color. And I actually like it better with the brown nose and the black eyes. I liked it a lot the way it is, so I decided not to put in more color detail color yarns, not to add more loops in different browns. Yeah, is this a movie replica? Far from, but every Harry Potter fan will know what's happening when they see somebody wear a lion hat. Yeah, and every non-Harry Potter fan will just think I'm insane, but that's okay. That is generally the consensus of the public. But yeah, I need to win the lottery, because when you win the lottery, you stop being insane and crazy and you become eccentric. Life goals, be eccentric. But yeah, I found the pattern actually pretty easy to follow. I will admit that the first time I read it, I was like, what in tarnation is this? But then I just reread it a few times and it was actually pretty clear. Just like the very final row, it says you should be left with 14 stitches. But I did the math, and admittedly I'm not that great at math, but I involved the help of another friend who is, and we literally even wrote it out and everything. And I'm not sure that it is possible to follow the pattern to the letter and end up with anything other than 18. Doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Especially not if you pull it real tight and add some spare loops. So yeah, I can't obviously speak for any of the other patterns in the book because I've only knitted this one. And the fact that I had to start over 3 times had nothing to do with the pattern and everything to do with me. So there's also that. And I'm just going to be honest about it. I am not an expert knitter. The ears are a little bit lopsided. Again, that's on me. I don't mind. I think it's cute the way it is. So I'm just leaving it the way it is. It is very soft. This is 20% wool and 80% acrylics. It's gonna be super warm in winter. I'm actually tempted, because I think it's cute with all these loops. I'm actually tempted to knit this in a smaller size yarn. like in a number 10 or something, and just knit one and not making it a lion hat, just like a fun hat with lots of loops. I think that would be very, very fun. I'm not entirely sure I can hack the pattern, so to speak, and make it without loops. I think in that case, I would just have to go through it and see if there's another animal hat I can just like ditch the ears and the face and whatnot. Or just buy another hat pattern altogether. But yeah, I enjoyed making this, at least when it wasn't going all sorts of wrong. Again, totally on me. Yeah, if you're I wouldn't say beginner, but if you're slightly more comfortable at knitting, beginner, because this is totally not a very high up level pattern at all. But if you already are very familiar with stockinette stitch and garter stitch, you can totally do this. I will link, like I said before, I will link to the tutorial I used for the loop stitch. Then you will be able to totally do this. You don't even, especially with yarn the stick, you can just even loop it through with your fingers to close it up. You don't need, because the loops will also hide a lot of it anyway. So you don't even need to know how to do mattress stitch and stuff. Of course it helps, but it's not a necessity. A necessity is just like being able to sew on buttons and a nose and knowing how to do garter and stockinette, and you can totally learn the loop. If I can learn it, you can absolutely learn it. And if you don't know how to do knit front to back, which is like a really fancy way of turning one stitch into two, I don't know how to do it. I am absolutely capable of learning it. Lord knows I tried. I spent, without a joke, about 8 or 9 hours in total at this point trying to learn it, and it's still a hopeless case. I just basically did one stitch and then just manually added another, and it also worked. I'm not excluding the possibility that that is also contributing to it being very large, because this is the kid size, not the adult one. But I also think it is quite large because you're supposed to line it. And there are instructions in the book for a knitted and fleece lining, so you can choose whichever you want. Adding a fleece lining or a knitted lining would for sure make this 2 sizes smaller at least. But I'm just gonna leave it at this because I want to be able to wear it over a face shield. If face masks and face shields ever go away, I might still put in a lining at a later date, but somehow I feel like my brain would boil. But yeah, that said, I like this a lot, as I have said before. I'm running out of things to say, and basically I'm doing an outro that is probably gonna be like 12 minutes, so I feel like I should shut up about it already. Otherwise this video is going to be so long, everybody's gonna be like, why? But anyway, thank you for coming along on the journey of knitting a lion hat. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. Tell me in the comments, is this something that you would make? Would you actually wear it, or would you make it as a prop for your Luna Lovegood collection? Yeah, just tell me in the comments what you thought of it. And subscribe if you like this video and want to stick around for more crazy knitting projects, because I'm working on other stuff as well, so there will be more. And yeah, and if you do leave a comment, please be kind. I will see you in the next one. Bye!